Good morning. This is Valerie Ellis, people, and she's going to share with us what she does. She lives in Houston with her family, a husband and two children, and I'll just let Valerie take it away and I'll just ask questions as we go.
Great. I am so excited to be with you, Kathy. And yes, so I have boys that are 14 and 10, and they keep me busy. We are busy with family things. I'm an author, so I have two books out for kids. One is for kids 0 to 4, and one is more for 2 to 6. And then my next book will come out in October for kids 7 and up. So we've got all the ages. And then, yes, my husband Josh and I live here in Houston. And in addition to authoring, I also write grants for nonprofits. And I used to be a teacher. I've done children's ministry, and that's me. So
Can you show us your books that you have out?
Sure. So the first one that came out was Share the Joy. It's a Christmas Lift the Flat book. So I'll just show you the
Oh,
flats because they're super fun. And I feel like a lot of Lift the Flat books, you know, are very simple, but this one goes a step farther beyond like the basics by talking about generosity. So it is a faith-based book. It has a little message of the nativity in the end. And it throughout the book, though, it talks about like how can we expand our Christmas traditions to serve others, to
yeah.
include others, to show generosity, because Jesus was the greatest servant of all. And so it's like, let's celebrate his birth, kiddos, by loving and serving. So the idea is like we start them off when they're so tiny, just ingraining that
Hmm.
habit of serving others at Christmas. And then it becomes like, oh, this is what we do at Christmas. We drink hot chocolate, we serve others, we
Hmm.
help people. So that was that book. And then the one that just came out in February, feels like it just came out because time is flying by.
Yeah.
Let's Go Bible Adventures. And so this is the one I actually wrote first. Share the Joy came out first, but I wrote this one first. And it's with Tyndale, and it has, you can see modern vehicles on the front, which I know is might seem weird to people if you're familiar with the Bible.
Yeah.
But the idea is that kids at this age, 2 to 6, love vehicles. And when my kids were little, I was like, they only wanted to read those kind of books. And I, as a Christian mom, wanted to read, Bible books. And they would just close them, particularly my firstborn. He just closed the books, and he was not sassy or opinionated about anything else, but he wanted the books he wanted.
Yeah.
And so I kind of in a silly moment, but also like a little bit frustrated. Like one day I was like shelving his books back into his room, and I was like, God, why aren't there cars and trucks in the Bible? Then this would be like easy win. We'd be reading the Bible all day with this little one. And I was like, wait a minute. But I'm very like, I love the Bible. I don't want to mess around with the Bible. So it's like, how can we do this in a way that parents won't end up like having to reteach their kids the Bible stories? So what I did was I used silly questions to get kids into the story. So like, did Jonah get rescued with a submarine? Is
Oh,
on the one page. And then you turn the page and then you see, no, 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 the real story is he got rescued with a big fish. Or, like, did Abraham and Sarah go to the promised land in a Jeep? Do they just like say, like, hey, let's go? No. And then the kids get to be the smart ones. They get to be like, no, they didn't have a Jeep back then. And then you turn the page and you see what really
yeah.
happened. And then each story has a little takeaway that like a little what else fact that
Uh-huh.
kind of tells either a little more about the story or a little bit more about the vehicle. And then there's a refrain. And I just visited with some schools in Michigan. I'll be doing some Houston schools soon, but we had fun reading the refrain together. And then the kids learn that we're on an adventure with God. Let's go, with how each one ends. So then the idea is that they're reading with their caregivers and then they're saying
Yeah.
it together.
Well, that's neat. Wow. See? Oh, that's you're
So
listening. He was talking to you.
he was. And I feel so blessed because, this was a long journey for me. I never thought like, oh, one day I'll be an author. And
Oh,
I was doing my own thing. I taught and then I did the nonprofit stuff. And then I was like loving kids' books, but never thought I would be in that world. But once I felt like yeah, like I think God has given me this idea and I think I need to figure it out.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
I do?
Well, good.
So like I said, it took a while because my son was 2, now he's 14, but yeah, now it's out there in kids' hands. And I honestly have had a lot of moms and teachers for it every day, so it's nice to hear that the kids are learning the Bible and just having fun with their caregivers and
Well,
teachers.
good. Good.
Yeah.
But that's not all you do.
No. So the other thing that I do is I have an online resource called Our Everyday Parables, and it's written by several moms, children's pastors, um, teachers, and both homeschool moms and public school moms. And we focus on helping families pursue faith and compassion through kind of 2 areas. So one is children's books, because obviously I love them, not just my own, but I love reading them with my kids. We still read together when I can get them to not go too fast and not go
Hmm.
faster than me, the busy mom. And then so we use both Christian books on the website and just general market books that aren't written for a Christian audience to look for themes of like loving others, bringing our big feelings to God. A lot of the things that kids are dealing with, we focus on books. And so some people are like, why um, non-Christian books? Well, kids aren't always going to be in a Christian environment. So I like to help my kids
Absolutely.
and other people's kids to look for God in all those places. How is God speaking to us even when we're maybe not reading the Bible?
Hmm.
And then the other place we do is everyday moments. And that was kind of born out of, I do think it's important to have our kids in like church or like doing devotionals and going deep into the Bible. But as someone who is also aware of her own limitations, I was like, I think my strength is going to be helping parents look for those everyday moments where they can bring God into the conversation, to where it doesn't have to be part of a long Bible study, but something you see. And so a phrase that I like to use that I think is applicable, that lots of moms or caregivers can adopt, is that reminds me.
Yeah.
So that, that seed, it's spring now, that seed sprouting reminds me of new life. Or that bird, I wonder if it's going to a nest to take care of someone. That reminds me of God's care. Or something like maybe not in nature. So um, my kids are in school, so we're labeling their school supplies. That reminds me that God knows your name. He has your name written on the palm of his hand. And so writing your name here reminds me, or erasing this board, if you're homeschooling, erasing this board just reminds me, God forgives us. He wipes away our mistakes. It can just take a moment, but it helps kids realize like faith is real, faith is applicable to their lives, and God is always around us. So yeah,
That's
that's kind
cool.
of what we do there.
Yeah. Mindful.
Yes, to be mindful, exactly. And I find that it starts with me being mindful, right?
Hmm.
So it's not something that I can just prescribe to my kids. Like I
Hmm.
have to stop and pay attention. And sometimes I talk about like that phrase, pay attention, because it does require a little bit of sacrifice, right? If I'm paying attention to the things around me and trying to look for God, maybe I'm not paying attention to something else,
Hmm.
like my phone or my
Yeah.
to-do list.
Right.
It requires a sacrifice, but the payoff is so big, right? It just, you can't quantify how how great it is to just sense God in that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a website, which we're going to put a link in the blog post for. What can my audience go to your website and find? Well, they'll find your books.
Yeah.
They'll
I
find,
actually have two, go ahead.
go ahead.
I
You.
actually have two websites. So one is my author website, where valerieellis.com, where they can find my books and free resources to go with each book. So Share the Joy has a whole activity pack of fun things to do, and a what's it called, an activity called Share the Joy Jar, which is even great for older kids. So the book is for little kids, but some of the activities can be for all ages if your family has older kids. And then the activity pack for Let's Go Bible Adventures is more focused on toddlers. It has a couple coloring pages, but then also just 12 easy activities with vehicles that you don't even really have to have the book to do them because they're just with things that you have around. If you have
Mhm.
little kids, you probably have the things. And then it gives 18 biblical truths that you can work into that play. Very play based. So using like trains and paper towel rolls and construction trucks to play and talk about God. So very much into that everyday moment thing we were talking about.
Mhm.
And then our everyday parables is the multi-author website where we also have free resources in addition to our articles. So we have things like a gratitude journal. We have a list of 75 plus book recommendations. Now, on that freebie, it's not reviews for each book. So I do encourage parents, to preview them, make sure they're right for your family because we're all different. Some parents want to introduce tough topics,
Mhm.
while the kids are at home and dig into those. And some want to be able to give their kids a book and not have to talk about it
Mhm.
because it's all right there in the book, all very, you know, safe and clear. And so anyway, you just need to look into those, especially the books
So
for
is
older
that
kids.
oureverydayparables.com?
Mhm.
Okay,
And then we
great.
have some things on holidays too. So with summer coming up, we have an article about summer books. We have, Christmas and um, some gratitude things for fall.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm. Great. Well, I know that I have several people that are like homeschool parents and teachers and um, even grandparents can do these things with their
yes,
kids, especially their grandkids, especially in the summer.
yes,
So great.
yes. Great. Yes. And so with Easter coming up, we also have a Christian book gift guide that is should be pretty easy to find on the website, but I can also give you the link. And at the bottom, it has books that are great for Easter.
Oh,
And I just heard from one woman in Colorado who actually bought most of the books on the list and put them in a display in her church and kind
oh,
of just to help parents at the church be like, here are some great Easter books. And
oh,
I was so honored. I was like, well, that's awesome. So
yeah.
yeah, it's a great resource for finding books, for giving books to people, and we're always adding to it too. So
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
yeah. Well, I'm excited too, Kathy, to learn about your work and your, audience and just to be with you guys. It's
Mhm.
very
Well, my
wonderful to
my work
find.
is well, the historical fiction novels are Christian for sure because they have Bible verses in them, King James, but the others, the early reader books are just for ages 5 to 8, and they even 9-year-olds like them. They're
Mhm.
just animal stories, basically about a character quality that they pick up. It could be humility, courage,
Yeah.
compassion, different things like that, which doesn't make it Christian, but it kind of does because they're Christian qualities.
Yes. Yes. I think we take that for granted sometimes
And
that
then
the
when you were
Christian
talking about
worldview. Yeah.
the Bible adventures with the vehicles going back and all, that reminded me that King well no, the first one that you wrote, the first one you published was what was it called?
Share the joy.
Yes. So Share the Joy was about generosity, and the King of Kings, Jesus, was a servant. He
Yeah.
was, I mean, people think leaders are supposed to just pull people around or something, but that's not the case.
Mhm.
They're supposed to serve people.
Yeah.
True leaders are serving people.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's right. It's great. And I love that you're giving kids um, like you said, in the books for older kids, direct Bible verses, but then even the Christian worldview in the books for younger kids, and just giving parents something safe to read because, it's not always easy to find that in good quality. And kids love animals. So that's exciting.
Hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure meeting with you today. And you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.